I would just like to respond to the statements made by Mr. Williams last week concerning an accident and the involvement of an arrest by the Gadsden City Police. I observed the chain of events that happened with the stopping and the apprehension or taking into custody the individual involved in this accident. I was traveling on 7th Street headed towards the post office. As I arrived on the corner of 7th and Chestnut, a vehicle had been stopped in the area right there between 7th and Chestnut. And at that time, when I stopped at the red light, a police officer had come up to the van and was discussing with the driver of the vehicle. The door was open. I stopped, looked, and observed. I transited across Chestnut, turned around in the post office parking lot, returned to the red light. I sat there for 2 or 3 minutes observing what was going on. During this process of while I was sitting there, the police officer was still discussing with the lady or the individual sitting inside the van. As I sat there, the lady must have received a phone call on her cell phone because she started communicating on her cell phone. I again observed the police officer. I did not hear any communication that was going on during this. I was inside my vehicle. I proceeded to turn right on Chestnut Street. As I turned right, the lady or the individual in the van was exiting the van. I observed that. I did notice some type of abrasions on her forehead. I passed Chestnut, past that. I went up about halfway up Chestnut, turned around and came back. When I came back to the scene, the lady had been placed in handcuffs and the officer was assisting her to sit down on the sidewalk next to the van. I sat there for a minute or two until the rescue vehicles got there, and then I departed. I wasn't aware of the events that happened until after I got to the radio station, come to find out that this van had been involved in a hit and run over in front of the Central Fire Station with injuries to 2 individuals. The van had left the scene of the accident, had been pursued by the police. She was stopped at this site. From my observations and from what I've seen during the period of time that I sat there, I have to disagree with what Mrs. Williams said last week, that at no time did I see our police department in any way do anything that I would consider out of the ordinary. And on the other side, I would feel that under the circumstances, considering the chain of events and what did happen, that our police department acted very professionally. She and the policeman communicated for several, I'd say 2 or 3 minutes. I do not again know what was said because I was not did not have my window down. But as I departed the scene, as far as I could see from everything that I experienced, there was nothing to indicate police brutality. There was nothing to indicate that the individual was in any way mishandled other than what I thought was a very appropriate action by the Gadsden Police Department. Thank you.